yourself. So I think we can get started. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining our Data Products Client Club today. We'd love it if you could introduce yourselves in the chat for those who haven't yet. We always enjoy knowing who's on the call with us. My name is Camille Constant, and I'm head of customer experience here at Contentsquare for the Americas. It's nice to see some familiar faces on the line, and otherwise it's great to meet you. You might have seen some of my emails go by with information on our Contentsquare customer community, including benchmarks, our latest product innovations, and invitations to informative and fun events like this one. I'm really thrilled to be hosting this client club today in partnership with UBIX. We'll be giving you a very high-level overview of our Contentsquare data products today, such as raw data export and frustration score. And we can also organize deep dive sessions around the topics which interest you the most. So we'll be asking you about that. Please let us know what you're most interested in, and we can organize extra sessions afterwards. But especially, we will talk today about our work in partnerships with UBIX. So I'm really excited about this partnership. It has been extremely valuable for us in driving some of our most innovative product developments. It's enabled us to test and prove out in our labs some new exciting use cases. Don't want to give too many spoilers here, but bot detection and omnichannel personalization are some among others, and we'll share all of that with you today. A few ground rules before we start. First, this is meant to be interactive, so if you have any questions, please feel free to either unmute yourself, speak up, or else share them in the chat, and we'll make sure to address them either in session or follow up personally with you to answer them. Secondly, we'll also be launching polls throughout the session, so please do answer these questions. Your feedback is key to helping us provide you with the resources that best fit your needs. And also, we always love to hear about your feedback. So please let us know what you think of Contentsquare. You'll see we're going to launch a poll right now to show you what a poll looks like, and let us know what you think. And we'll be launching these further down in the session as well. So now I would like to introduce our two guest speakers and hosts for today, John Burke and Jason Miller. So Jason Miller is our worldwide VP of Field Innovations with over 25 years in the technology space, with previously held positions such as Akamai's Chief Strategist of E-commerce and 15 plus years as Chief Technology Officer for Motorcycle Superstore, which you might know. So we're really, really lucky to have Jason on the team. You may have spoken with him before. Thanks for joining us today. Oh, did someone have a question? If you have a question, let me know. And I'm also on the line today with John Burke, an entrepreneur that has devoted his 27-year career to software innovation with a particular focus on analytics-driven software. John has been really fortunate to be part of great teams that have pioneered web analytics at Website Story, Osprey Data, and bring AI to all enterprises with UBIX. So John, you've been a tremendous partner to our Contentsquare team. The team and I cannot thank you enough for your fantastic continued support. Thank you so much both for taking the time to join us today. I'm sure everyone on the call now can't wait to hear more about what you both have been working on. So I'll go right ahead and let you take it away.
Great. So today we're going to do a quick dive across all the different types of really rich granular data that Contentsquare provides. John and I could talk on this for hours and hours, but we're going to try to keep it to 30 minutes and kind of give you a brief overview and show you some examples. I'm going to kill that video so that I can share this screen better. So the basic building block of all the data exports we have is the raw data export. So the raw data export contains all the things that go behind to build the application that you see when you're in the CS app. So the ability with raw data exports is to take all this data and dump it out to whatever big data store you have. And we'll talk about this with UBIX in a minute, and store it for as long as you want using the APIs and extend whatever other data sets you want, adding it to Adobe, adding it to any other thing that you can merge the keys with. And this data is, like we said here, it's 73 different page view level attributes. So this is like all the basic stuff, type of technology, page URL and everything else, but it also includes the events, the clicks, the tap, the scroll, the hovers. So think about the different questions you want to ask when you're in the CS app that maybe you can't figure out how to answer that. This is another way to go build your own custom queries on top of the data. So there's a lot of different use cases that we can build on this. So one is if you want to keep the data for an extended period of time, if you want to have the data over the 13 months standard data retention, you're able to keep this data as long as you want it to. You're able to, like John will demonstrate here, feed this into your data warehouse, run machine learning algorithms on it, or like I said earlier, combine this with so many different types of data, whether you want to put it into Splunk for troubleshooting, whether you want to put it into Tableau to make high-level executive dashboards, this is your data point. And what we do with that is we actually can extend it further with frustration scores. So this is kind of why these all build on each other. So it's kind of the reason I put them in this order. So frustration score, if you haven't seen it in the product, is actually all the elements that we find that are causing user friction and frustration. So whether that's, excessive scrolling or clicking on non-clickable elements, you can now output these into that data store. So what you can do with that is you can take and you can merge this with, like we said, other data stores and build KPIs. You can build dashboards that show, you make a new update to your site, for instance, did the frustration score increase or decrease? What's your average level of frustration? And then if you really want to get interesting with this, something else you can do is we provide the actual metrics here. You can do recalculations of the frustration score based on what's most important to you. And the example I like to use here is you might have a page that shows a higher click rate than it should, than you expect, but really when you go to the page, say it's a image carousel, and there's a lot of clicking involved. So maybe that doesn't matter to you as much on that page. You can actually adjust these frustration scores to actually see, what's really happening there. So like I said, everything starts with the raw data export, and the frustration score stacks right on those page view metrics. So taking those into whatever data warehouse that you want to run, and merging those with whatever extra data source you have gives you these abilities to retarget customers. You could do, say, you look at customers who had high frustration and you want to go do a special email campaign to them. You want to go just identify, pages over time that are having different issues. I like to use the example of, say, iOS or Chrome rolls out a new update, and all of a sudden you're watching your frustration metrics and maybe they get really high for a particular browser. Well, there could be something in that new browser that's causing something to be unclickable or something to not work as you expected. So this is another great use case of being able to take that raw data export combination of frustration over time and do really interesting analysis. Now I'll show you some ways at the end here that you can also use this in near and real time to trigger other actions. But first, I want to go into one last thing really as a core piece of data analytics, and this is field analytics. So what field analytics is this is the most granular level of detail of data you can get around the interactions that a user has with filling out a form on your site. So if they're going into checkout, they're applying to get a credit card, whatever this is. So from both a customer experience, you can look for all the common things where it's like, are they clicking the submit button, but it's not going through, and what's which field is erroring? But you can also use this for a lot of other fraud and customer experience use cases. And I think we'll talk about that when John gets up here in a second. But think about things like copy and paste, for instance. Copy and paste is probably not an abnormal use case if it's used maybe once on a form fill out, but what if they copy and paste every field in the form? That could be an interesting use case where you look at that and go, that's probably not a normal user behavior. And then you can score this higher against your fraud modeling. There's also a lot of things we can do around time-based cohorts and bots and scripts. I don't want to steal John's thunder because I know he's got some slides on this, but just think about being able to identify those cohorts, take those segments out and do something different with it. There's also an interesting use case here when you think of quality versus quantity of analytics. So if a customer comes to your site and they bounce off your form page, well, in quantity analytics, you just know that they bounced. You don't really know how they interacted with that page before they bounced. And so with field analytics, you can actually tell who bounced from your page, but actually interacted with the form before they bounced. So different kinds of users. Maybe those first bouncers they just didn't find it useful, is the wrong page. But those people who started interacting with the page and then bounced, those are someone that you want to retarget, figure out why they're going in there and not actually completing the process. So a lot of really, really granular level data here. So I told you I'd talk about near and real time. And so live signals is something that you can add on to CS. And this is a tag update that what you do is we've taken these most common signals that we have in fraud, field, and frustration, and made it able to signal back in resources, whatever those may be, whether it's a tag manager, whether it's a A/B testing. But we can actually signal, that someone's doing, excessive pasting, and you maybe want to put that signal into a fraud bucket. We can also signal when people have ad blockers on, because you might want to segment, especially tests and Optimizely or whatever it may be. You might want to segment and look at those segments that have ad blockers enabled, because they may not even be seeing the content you expect them to see. And you're unaware of that if you don't know that an ad blocker is present. And then, just like I said, with the signals, rage clicks and consecutive hovering, you can trigger back-end applications to actually pop up, say, a chat or, some form of retargeting in real time. So kind of an example of this, and we did this process with Telium, is anything that sits behind Telium's event bridge, event stream, you can actually signal those other products. So we can push a frustration signal or something into Telium's stack, and then whatever other third parties you have sitting behind there can either store it in your CDP or other data store, or they can actually do an interaction on it. So you might want to, like I said, you might want to pop a chatbot, you might want to, do some sort of modal on it, or you want to push it to your retargeting and go, hey, here's all the people that had this kind of issue, and how can we get back in there and make them happy? And the last one I just want to touch on before John shows some examples here is we have our integration with Contentsquare and Salesforce Marketing Cloud. Now, when we share this deck, there's a video. I'm not going to play the video because it's kind of long. That'll walk through, all these different steps. But just think of what we just spoke about with all the opportunities you have for, improving the customer response, actually going in and saying, hey, if I want to retarget that customer, can I go look at their interaction time on which products they spent the most time? You don't want to try to retarget them with a pair of jeans that they only saw for half a second, as compared to the ones they went back to and looked at 3 times and spent 20 minutes comparing with other jeans. So good retargeting operation there, but also segmentation within marketing, so that when you're sending out your Salesforce emails and you want to segment by users who have had issues, and so you're actually targeting them based on their use case, not just a blanket segment. So lots of interactions, lots of opportunities here. And I think I kept this to like 12 minutes, like I said, John, so we'll have time to go through your slides. So with that, I want to turn it over to John and show some real life examples of this. And I'll let you share, John, so you can drive.
Okay. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, but you're not in presentation mode yet.
Yeah. Okay, how about there?
There we
Okay,
go.
so thank you so much. A pleasure to meet you. I'm John Burke. I'm the CEO of UBIX, and we're very excited about our partnership with Contentsquare. Our tagline is Advanced Analytics for the Intelligent Business. And just to set some context for why UBIX was created, and really to help with that ongoing transformation that's occurring within the marketplace. We've all participated at various levels within our career in the transformation to a digital business. The digital business is continuing to evolve, and there are best of breed technologies out there that continue to offer great capabilities and innovation, but they also, in the area of our art in advanced analytics, they become data silos, right? And those data silos do not always collaborate and talk with other systems. So UBIX, in order to try to drive that intelligent business, is about connecting all of those data assets, right? And providing amazing analytic tools to allow you to turn from both descriptive to diagnostic to predictive and prescriptive intelligence. And we've done that in a no-code way, right? So all of our complex algorithms and everything and workflows have been reduced to workflow templates and functions and other things like that, and widgets and widget visualizations, et cetera. And so it's allowing us to take all the power of this open source community in the art of data science and AI and put it in the hands and the power of the business people that want to solve these problems. And UBIX is the only, this is the reason we're unique, is the only no-code end-to-end advanced analytics platform for business users in the world. Our whole charter has been to focus on solving problems and being helpful to innovative companies like yourselves, right? And to provide actionable insights and enable rapid innovation, right? So everything we walked through today has just been put together in our no-code interfaces to showcase examples. But inside of UBIX, really anything is possible, right? So the whole, the exception is the rule with UBIX, right? You can build out any type of visualization you want, and we can do that for you, right? We also offer in a package of managed services and analytics packages, et cetera. And in what we're showcasing here is really that connected world, right? What Jason showed you on the Contentsquare is like the flows, the fields, the forms, et cetera. Contentsquare has amazing data. We've really enjoyed playing with it and continue to enjoy playing with it. And the raw data export really is the source into our connector. And we pulled in field analytics, frustration scoring, page view, site metrics, et cetera. All of your data is organized in a nice structured way inside of our data space product, which is a big data store. And then model space is the area in which you play with that data, right? And so you have other channels of other siloed information, such as meta and social channels, transactional systems, your CRM and ERP, Google Analytics, Adobe Analytics, et cetera. These are all valuable data silos. UBIX allows you to connect all of those and offer up insights that you haven't had before. These are some of the different, kind of tip of the iceberg type use cases. We do a lot of customer intelligence work, behavioral analytics, funnel and conversion optimization, omni-channel, bot detection and cleansing. And I'm going to showcase kind of bot detection in our speed date today, as well as kind of how that changes your view of the data. And so I'll walk you through kind of how we solve that problem, but how we offer up and how it can change your different metrics and how you look at your business of conversion, et cetera. And so now I will jump into our product.
Yeah, while John's doing that, I just want to point out it's really cool to be able to take that raw data and easily put it into model space that he's going to show you here and be able to manipulate it with your other data stores, because not everyone of our customers has their own giant Snowflake database and everything in the back end to be able to work with this.
And so UBIX is made up of workspaces, right? So we always say that you can cause no harm, right? You can innovate wildly and pull data in. And so you have your different data accesses. You have your information around Contentsquare, and all that information can be pulled into your specific workspace. But what I'm going to dive into is we have these different solutions that I'll show you kind of backwards here, is that I'll walk through kind of some of the examples of what our application layer is, because that's sometimes a little bit more meaningful and easier to understand. And then we'll work back and talk about some of the solutions. But this is our no-code app builder, right? And so all of this was built leveraging different layouts, different widgets, and different data, right? So data we created within this workspace, external data sources that are access to like weather information. We've got over 70 different external data feeds that can be used for visualization within the product. And this is some of the field analytics data that Jason was talking about. So looking at form completion time, what's normal, what's abnormal, user bounce rates, being able to look at and say, okay, well, what is, and everything's interactive within UBIX. You can kind of splice and dice and move things around and showcase different things, but understanding what is the engagement duration, min, max, and average. What is that typing duration, min, max, and average? And being able to interact with that data with different navigation tools, looking at different success metrics, understanding success count pages, hesitation time within certain data. Like you can see that there's a lot of times there's hesitation within income, like where someone's putting income, someone's putting their social security number, their name, other things like that that are very interesting. But what we really do is really understand where people are struggling, right? And this is the stuff that Contentsquare offers up. This is really a descriptive view of it, right, within our system to actually showcase how this information can be spliced and diced within UBIX. But there's a whole nother story on top of that. That is what additional conclusions can we reach based on this and build in automation and insight that'll allow you to drive change within your organization. But also looking at, a big thing here is understanding customer behavior, understanding different pathways of what people take. And I'm going to showcase real quick, diving into the solution here around detecting bots, right? And so within the traffic information, this is a workflow that's a no-code workflow. Don't be intimidated by this. This is templated. We also do this for our clients. But what you get in here is I want to showcase that you're actually taking multiple features and being able to understand and mark that traffic of knowing exactly what is bot traffic and what is not, right? And it's good to understand. So we're starting marking it, not removing it. We want to know what that traffic is. We mark it and allow people to filter out that data. I'll also show you a case inside of our workflow around traffic, right? So there's a simple workflow here in 3 steps, and that created kind of our pathways, analysis that we just looked at, that showcases, marking the data and understanding the metrics of across the entire system. And then also understanding, the traffic. And this can be a bit of an eye chart, from a standpoint of that it showcases, a lot of information here around understanding of what is all the traffic, what is existing customer traffic, what is new customer traffic, and what is bot traffic, right? Allowing you to understand. And although this is a bit of an eye chart, and you can logically see different abandonments that go on as you move through this, there's the first thing is to train the system to know basically all the activity and what is going on within the traffic. And so once it learns, then you can actually spin off and create a bunch of different applications. You can also take and forecast metrics. One of the things that we do within UBIX, a lot of our use cases that came out of our ERP business with companies like SAP and Oracle, Sage, et cetera, is that we basically look at really understanding and being able to forecast key metrics. And so here's a model that turns out to be a Sarima model, but it's just a function. But it allows you to take and look at, let's say, click counts and understand this is broken down by hour and understanding how that information is evolved. We have other, of course, metrics around conversion, session count, et cetera, so that you can turn something in from just a descriptive model to a predictive model. I also want to spend a little bit of time so you can see kind of recapping around the app builder is our ability to build apps on top of workflow and drive data that we create using solutions, right? And we have access to all this different data. But I also like to show you some of the stuff that we've got going on as it relates to merchandising and information around being able to predict sales and conversion and other things like that. And so I'll jump into a demand forecast that we have, right? And so inside of here, it's again another look at different data, right? But we have pulling in as far as our demand forecasting. We can specify what is the metric that we're going after, what is the actual product concentration that we want to focus on, and you can actually see and interact and understand kind of what are the actuals, what are the forecast variables that are coming into play. And this also plays within kind of merchandising, understand the activity around how your product is being priced, right? And so you can see price indices here. Inside of this weekly time series, you're not seeing a change in the fluctuation of different pricing, but in other commodity pursuits, like we have some clients in the meat industry and other things like that, that have significant fluctuation in market price based on different volumes. So it allows you to kind of understand that as well. And just kind of, being mindful of time, when you look at any given workspace, you have your access to data that comes from our data space product, which comes from your source data, which is, Contentsquare and others. You also have external data feeds that are from a bunch of different market information. And you also can use experimental data by uploading CSVs and experimenting. Jumping into our data space product, just as I continue on with the speed date here, you have, different connections, right? And so we built out a connection and have a live connection with Contentsquare. And so we need to update that logo there, but you can see what we pulled in here is having, different, page metrics, page views, field analytics data. So all that information is organized nicely within the workspaces of DataSpace. And then anyone that wants to interact with that data to solve problems can pull into it and consume it from model space to actually go and experiment and create new use cases that are interesting to help the business solve and create new innovation.
Yeah, I think one thing I'd throw in here, John, is everyone on the call may not be familiar that Contentsquare has a merchandising product, and that's kind of what John was alluding to, is the merchandising product for doing showing what brands and products are performing best and all that. So that's a whole nother thing we could talk about for a couple hours. But the last thing I want to say is from ease of use with the connector, that just cuts out a step of having to have your own IT people building, an API to consume any of this data. So it's a really, really cool add-on.
Thanks, Jason. And then part of this whole thing around, innovation and experimentation, we as a company, we understand that even though we've made something very easy from a standpoint of leveraging these powerful models and anywhere from regression to classification to neural networks and all this other stuff, at the end of the day, these are just tools to help solve problems, right? And UBIX has been that abstracted layer that allows you to solve complex problems easily. And one of the things that we really bring to the table is how we service our clients along with our partners. And that is really we can do everything for you and start with working sessions and kind of move forward, and our what we call our data science factory can shepherd you through the process and deliver rapid innovation, or we can train you to empower yourself to leverage this information and solve problems on your own, right? So we can do the whole spectrum. But it's all about bringing this great capability to market, and the digital marketing space is one of our fastest growing areas, and it's an area that I really loved in my time at Website Story in helping that company further itself. And so I think that's my time there, Jason. Do you have any other insights that you'd like me to cover?
No, I mean, we're trying to do 5 hours of information in 30 minutes. Hopefully that gave everyone just a taste of what it can do. I did see there were some questions about UBIX in there, and we'll share follow-up links on how to get a hold of John and his team. But with that, I think we turn it back over to Camille. If there's any, what do we have here? A minute and a half. If there's any more questions, we can definitely do follow-ups, and I'm happy to do deep dives with anyone who wants to look at all the stuff that we can do with the different types of data export, because there's really a lot of possibilities that we just can't cover in this short period of time.
Thanks so much, both. This was really informative. I saw a lot of engagement in the chat, a lot of questions. In the interest of time, what we'll do is we're saving all of these questions, and we'll personally follow up with every one of you to ensure we answer that. Just before we leave, don't leave just yet. As I mentioned in the beginning of this call, we always need your feedback and your honest feedback to ensure we always provide you with the best customer experience possible. So let us know if it's something you're willing to share with us. And we wanted to mention a few upcoming events that are pretty exciting. If you're namely in e-commerce or retail, peak season, we're right in the midst of it. We're going to have a webinar around preparing for peak, more around the platform and the checklists you can follow to be ready. And so all of that is in the chat. You'll see if it's something you're interested in. We also have a sales season predictions webinar, more high level on trends that's coming up. And if you are going to AWS Summit as well, if you're not namely interested in peak, let us know. And we're maybe gonna be there. So would love to meet up. In the meantime, thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Richard, for your feedback. Thanks again to our wonderful speakers. This was really interesting, and we did note all of your responses to the polls. So as I said, we'll follow up personally with you, your account teams. We'll do that regarding your poll answers and also any questions in the chat. With that, thank you everyone so much for joining today. We hope you had a great time. Let us know any feedback you have. And as John and Jason said, we have much more to share with you. So let us know what you're most interested in, and that will guide us towards our next sessions.